Ever find yourself drowning in bookmarks or digging through emails looking for that one critical link? Today, we're solving that problem once and for all. Welcome back to the Educate community. If it's your first time here, I'm Rebecca Simons, and this is the channel where we discuss all things EdTech. Spring is here in Kentucky, making it the perfect time for some digital cleaning and reorganization. So join me as we create a digital hub to simplify and centralize the way we access and manage our digital links and resources. In today's session, we're exploring how to create a hub in two different platforms, Canva and Google Sheets. Whether you already have a preference or are curious about both, use the timestamps below to navigate straight to what you're interested in. Before we start building, please take a second to give this video a like, hit subscribe, and share with a teacher friend. Your engagement is what helps us to reach more educators. So let's kick things off by addressing the question, what exactly is a digital hub? Well, this type of resource goes by a variety of names, but simply put, a hub acts as your one-stop shop for all your essential links, websites, and resources. Now, your next thought probably is, I've got a bookmark bar. Why do I need a hub? Well, not only does a hub allow you to visually organize your links, but you can also share your curated collection with others. Picture having a grade level team hub, or even a school-wide hub to enhance your communication. No more holding on to emails for links or digging through your drive to find what you need daily. With your hub, everything you need is just a click away. Now, like most of our make and takes, we're going to start by doing some good old-fashioned planning. So open a blank Google Doc or grab a piece of paper and pencil and plan along with me. When you're designing your hub, you'll need to consider two main questions. One, who's the audience for this hub? And two, what does this audience regularly access or have questions about? When you're thinking about your audience, remember that a hub can easily be shared with a variety of groups. You can design a personal hub for yourself, but you can also streamline communication by creating one for your grade level team, your school, parents, or even your students. Next, we're going to do a brain dump and jot down everything that we think should go into our hub. I've jotted down some ideas to help get you started. This is by no means an exhaustive list. It's simply meant to give you a jump start. Feel free to pause the video to look at my list, or if you registered for this through the Educate community, you should have received a copy of this list in your email. Once you have a solid list of what you want to include in your hub, think about how these can be grouped into larger categories or topics. For example, on my hub, I have links to the university calendar, the Google form to request days off, and my Google Sheet for tracking my leave accrual. I decided to group all of these resources under the topic leave. If you aren't sure where to put something, you might consider some catch-all categories. I have two: daily links for things that I access every day, and quick links for resources that I didn't feel like merited their own category. Planning this out in advance will really help when it comes time to design your layout. The next step is to choose a platform to build in. This tutorial focuses on creating hubs in Canva and Google Sheets, but keep in mind these aren't your only options. For example, I gravitate towards Google Docs for my project planning hub because it gives me the extra space I need to jot down project specifics. I also really like Eric Kurtz's use of Google Docs for his resource hubs. He does such a great job using features like the document outline and the interactive table of contents for easy navigation. To me, the most important factors in choosing a platform are that it, one, supports easy sharing, and two, is cloud-based. This ensures that any updates you make are immediately visible. You also might want to consider how comfortable you are with the platform and if you can see yourself using it daily. If you can't integrate your hub into your daily workflow, chances are it won't get used much. But don't stress. At the end of the tutorial, I'll share how I got in the habit of using my hub daily. We're going to kick things off by creating the Canva hub. The benefit to using a slide deck for your hub is that it allows for more visual organization. It can also easily become part of a larger digital planner. I also really like that you can easily add a colorful background, graphics, and inspirational elements like my positive tea and my succulent pictures. Every time I open my hub, it adds a little positivity to my day. I also want to note you could create this project in Google Slides, but one of the reasons I opted for Canva over Slides is because they already have so many built-in design tools and elements. If you're new to Canva and a K-12 educator, don't forget to sign up for your free educator account, which gives you access to Canva Pro. If you don't have access to a pro account, don't worry. There's still plenty available for free. Just keep an eye out for the crown icon in the bottom right corner of Elements, which means that it's a pro or a paid element. I always start my Canva projects by browsing the templates for inspiration. Use the keywords desktop organization or desktop wallpaper in the search field. These are actually meant for you to download and use to organize your folders and apps on your computer desktop, but they're a great starting point for the project we're working on today. When I'm looking for a template, I try not to fixate on layout because I can always rearrange. Instead, focus on which colors, fonts, and decorative elements you're drawn to. For example, I like this one, but I would need to delete out the calendar, and I might need to replace some of these pictures with more space for links and possibly resize the boxes. But I like the overall aesthetic and feel of this. If you prefer to start with a blank template, then click Create a Design and select Presentation. This project size is the same as the templates we were just looking at. I'm going to be using a blank canvas for our demo today so I can showcase a few more Canva tips and tricks. First up, choosing a background. You can go with a solid color by clicking on the rainbow square in the top menu bar. Choose from one of the default colors or gradients, or click on the plus icon to select a custom color. Now, I'm going to have a moment of full transparency with you. I struggle to choose color palettes for my projects. So I will frequently Google color palette and a keyword or theme like succulent color palette. Pro tip, once you find a color palette you like, copy and paste the reference into Canva. Not only does this allow you to reference the image during the design process, but Canva will also identify some of the prominent colors in the image and display them under a section called Photo Colors. If you don't see the color you want displayed, use the eyedropper tool to pick up the exact color directly from the image. Alternatively, you can use an image as the background. Start by clicking on Elements in the side menu, then type in a keyword. Using the color purple as inspiration, I'm going to look for lavender. Then I'm going to click See All for photos. Once you find a background you like, simply click and drag the image onto the canvas. Hover over the edge of the canvas until you see a purple line appear, then release. This will set the image as the canvas background. From there, you can double click on the image to either enlarge it or reposition what's visible. Next, we need to start planning our layout. This is where the brainstorming we did earlier comes in handy. You should have a space for each major category of links. The more links in a category, the bigger the space needs to be. As you can see on my hub, I have 6 main spaces, 5 of which are in rectangles, and then 1 that looks more like buttons. It is okay if you need to rearrange as you get deeper into the project, or if it takes you a little while to create a layout that you're happy with. I think at one point I had at least 5 different versions of this. This is why I suggested going and looking in the desktop organization templates for inspiration, because as you can tell from my finished product, it looks very similar to the templates we looked at earlier. If we look back at my brainstorming, it's very obvious that I ended up with more than 6 categories, but having the inspirational pictures on my hub was really important to me. So to free up some room, I decided to group all of the categories that I don't use as often into one large space called quick links. I then added borders to visually group them within that space. So I still have the individual categories, but they aren't taking up as much room as, say, Daily Links or EdTech Explorers does. As you might have noticed, I like to use rectangle shapes for my layout. To add a rectangle, you can either press R on your keyboard or click Elements and select the rectangle under Shapes. Change the color of your rectangle by using the menu bar across the top. The icon to the right lets you modify the border style, color, weight, and round the corners. For my hub, I added a solid border with a weight of 2 and rounded the corners to 25. If you want some of your background to show through, you can adjust the transparency of your shape by clicking on the transparency icon and playing around with the values until you're happy with how it looks. Once I'm happy with how it looks, I'm then going to press Control D to duplicate the space, and then I'm going to start playing around with my layout. I'm also going to add some placeholders for decorative images. I'm going to click on Elements, then scroll down until I see Frames. Now I want everything in my hub to have rounded corners, so I'm going to choose the frame that already has rounded corners, but I'm going to adjust them to make sure they match by clicking on the border icon and changing the 23 to 25. Then I can place this frame anywhere I might want to add a picture later on. Right now I'm struggling a little with my spacing with my 3 placeholders. So what I'm going to do is click and drag to highlight all 3, right click, and come to Space Evenly. Then I'm going to select Tidy Up. This is going to adjust the spacing so that it's equal between my images. To add a picture to these frames, you'll follow the same process we did earlier for the background. So I'm going to search for coffee under Elements, and then I'm going to look for a coffee photo. Simply click and drag the image into the placeholder and release. Double click on the image to either enlarge it or reposition it within the frame. If you decide you want a different image, simply click and drag to replace it. While designing your initial layout can be a little time-consuming, once it's set, I love how easy it is to quickly switch out backgrounds and images to create an entirely different feel or customize it for different holidays or seasons. The next step is to start adding our text. Start by clicking on the text icon in the side menu, add a text box. I'm going to be using the font League Gothic. I'm going to try out size 30. May not be big enough. We can always adjust later. Then I'm going to choose a text color from my photo colors. And it is still a little small, so I'm just going to increase the size slightly. I'm going to move it over into one of my sections and type one of my section titles just to make sure I like how it looks. Once you're happy with it, click on your text, then use Control-D to duplicate your text and add it to every section. This will keep your formatting exactly the same, which means all you have to do is change out the title. You're going to create another text box and choose a font style, size, and color for your links. For my links, I'm going to be using Linotype felt pen, size 20, let's try 26 to start with. And I think I'm just going to stick with black as my color. If this is a little hard for you to see, you may have to adjust the transparency of your spaces. Now, you can either type all of your links for a section in the same text box, or you can create a new text box for each link. I prefer to keep them all in one text box because you spend less time trying to make sure everything is aligned. Let me get some text in here and then we'll take a look at it. All right, I've added all of the content for my Educate Community category. And right now, as I'm looking at it, I notice that I need to change my alignment so that it's left aligned. I also want to increase the spacing between all of my items so that I can add the icon like I have in my original hub. I'm also noticing that there's quite a bit of extra space left over. Remember earlier I said it's okay to continue to play with your layout. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to drag this box up. I'm going to select Google Level 1 Bootcamp and EdTech Explorers and move them over. Then I'm going to duplicate one of my image placeholders and add it to the corner. And then I can pop in a different image in just a minute. I'm still noticing there's quite a bit of extra space, so a way that I could use it up is possibly adding a little decorative element to the bottom of this box. So I mentioned I wanted to add icons next to all of these, so I'm going to go into Elements, and I'm going to search registration icon, and let's see what pops up. I feel like this one would work for me, so I'm just going to decrease the size and move it into place right by registration. I can then go through and replicate this for everything else in my list. Finally, the last step to actually make your hub a hub is to hyperlink your text. Start by highlighting each individual item and press Control-K or click the link icon. You're then going to copy and paste in your link. For right now, I'm just going to have it take me to Google. Remember, you can link to anything digital, including content in your Google Drive. Now, personal preference, since I'm the only one who's going to be using this hub and I know that this is a link, I'm going to remove the underlining. It's just simply an aesthetic preference. Now, when I click on registration, it's going to take me straight to Google. So once you finish adding all your content and hyperlinking it, your Canva hub will be complete. Up next, we'll walk through how to create a hub in Google Sheets. And don't forget, at the end of this tutorial, I'll be sharing tips on how to effectively share your hub and integrate it into your daily routine. All right, let's shift gears to Google Sheets. While Canva shines in the arena of design and visual appeal, Sheets offers a straightforward built-in structure that requires less design work. I also think it's faster to add information to because it requires minimal layout changes. We're going to start by creating a new Google Sheet. I like to create one by using the shortcut sheets.new. Our first step is going to be deciding how wide you want your hub to be. In other words, how many categories across do you want? Now remember, you can always expand your hub by adding additional categories below. I like the 5-column format you see on the screen because it allows me to easily see everything on my hub on half of my screen. So for a 5-column hub, I'm going to click to highlight column F, then press Control, Shift, and the right arrow key to highlight all of the columns to the end of the sheet. Then I'm going to right-click and select Delete Columns. Next, I'm going to adjust my column widths by clicking and dragging to select all of my remaining columns. Then right-click and select Resize Column Width. I chose to set mine to 250 pixels, but it's a personal preference, so you may have to play around to see what works best for you. Next, we're going to set up a space for the header. Click row 1 to select it, and I'm trying to get in the habit of using the search menu to complete tasks, so I'm going to model how to use it today. To create our header space, we want to merge all of the cells in row 1. So I'm going to type in merge and select merge cells. I love this feature because you no longer have to remember which menu merge is under or remember which icon it is. Next, I'm going to resize the row by right-clicking on it and selecting Resize Row. I chose to make my row height 175, but you can make it skinnier or chunkier depending on your preference. At this point, you have two options. You can use the formatting features in Sheets to make a more basic title, like the one you see here, or you can design a fancier header in Google Slides or Canva. If you simply want to use the formatting tools in Sheets, then select row 1, then click the paint fill bucket to change the cell color. I'm going to click the plus to add a custom color, and I'm going to use the hex code B8BFAD. Then choose a font style, color, and size. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the font Satisfy, size 50. And for the color, I'm going to use the hex code B4675E. Just so we can see how it looks, I'm going to add in some text real quick. Then I'm going to center align it vertically and horizontally. You can also create a custom title image by using Canva or Google Slides. We're going to be using Canva for our tutorial today. Once you're in Canva, click on the purple Create a Design button, then click Custom Size. For the height, type in the height you set row 1 to. For our sample, I did 175 pixels. Width is going to depend on how many columns you have in your design and how wide you made them. I had 5 columns that were 250 pixels apiece, which means my header would need to be 1,250 pixels wide. If you haven't created in Canva before, almost everything you need can be found in the left-hand menu or in the menu across the top. If you'd like some more specifics on using Canva, check out the earlier portion of this video where we talked about how to add a background, text, and graphics. Once you're happy with how your title design looks, click on the Share button, download, select PNG or JPEG as your file type, and press download. Once you're back in your Google Sheet, click on the Insert menu, Image, Insert Image over Cell, and select it from your Downloads folder. Inserting the image over the cell will allow you to move it anywhere on your sheet, and it also allows you to slightly adjust the size if needed. For example, as you can see here, my image isn't quite long enough, so I'm simply going to click and drag until all of row 1 is covered. Next, we need to create our sections. I want each section to have a title, so I'm going to select all of row 2 and right-click to resize the row height to 60 pixels. Personally, for section titles, unless you're going to go really fancy or add some decorative elements, I like to just create them using the built-in formatting features in Sheets. For example, I could simply change the background. Then I'm going to add some placeholder text. I'll just call it title for now. Change the font style, size, and horizontally and vertically align it. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this all the way across. All right, I've got 5 sections set up, but that might not be enough. So what we can do is copy all of row 2. Then we want to leave some space to add our hyperlinks. I like to leave about 10 spaces. You can always go in and add or remove rows later to suit your needs. So I'm going to hop down to row 15 and paste. Now I have 10 sections that I could add links to. So I've left 10 rows and clicked on the one that comes right under it. Then I'm going to press Control, Shift, down arrow, which will select the cells all the way down to the bottom of my sheet. Then I'm going to right-click, delete rows. If you find that you need to add additional content, it's incredibly easy. All you have to do is right-click to insert another row. Then we could easily copy and paste to add an entire new section. The last step is to add in our links and hyperlink them. Actually, before we do that, I want to format my cells that are going to store links. And I'm going to do that by clicking and dragging to select all of these blank cells. Then I'm going to hold down the Control key. This is going to allow me to skip over the title cells or highlight cells that are not right next to one another. Once I have all of these cells highlighted, I can change the formatting for them all at once. I'm going to set my font to Proxima Nova. I want it to be size 12, and I want it to be horizontally and vertically aligned in the cell. And I'm fine with it being black. Now I'm going to come into each cell and I'm going to start entering the names of all of my resources. For example, I could type in Educate Community Website. Once you have all of your content entered, you're going to start linking it. Simply click on a cell, then press Control K, or click on a cell and press the link icon in the top menu bar. Copy and paste in the link to your desired destination. Again, we're just going to use google.com. It will automatically turn your links blue and underline them. If you don't like the way this looks, you can easily turn your text back black and remove the underlining by pressing Control U. Now, when I click on this cell or hover over it, it will link me directly to my desired destination. As I mentioned earlier, a digital hub functions a lot like your bookmark bar, but it has a superpower. It's shareable. So let's talk about the best way to share your hub with others and how to make it a seamless part of your daily digital routine. Let's start with the Canva Hub. When I'm using my hub in Canva, I don't want to have all of these toolbars showing. So we're going to create what's called a public view link. Start by pressing Share, Public View Link, Create Public View Link. This is the link that you'll use to share your hub with others. Now, earlier in the video, I promised to talk to you about how I got in the habit of using my hub on a daily basis. I started by setting my hub's public view link as my Chrome home icon. All this takes is a couple clicks. You're going to start over at the Chrome More menu in the upper right corner. Then select Settings, Appearance. Toggle on Show Home button, then click the second option to customize the URL and paste in the public link to your hub. Out of sight can mean out of mind. So another option is to set your public view link as one of your shortcuts when you open a new tab in Chrome. To do this, simply click Add Shortcut, add a name, paste the URL, and every time you open a new tab in Chrome, it will be there to remind you of its existence. Now, since I set everything to the public link view, I didn't have an easy way to edit my hub without having to go search for the file in Canva. So in the upper left corner, I added an edit icon, then hyperlinked it to the web address for my editable file. So anytime I need to make a change to my hub, all I do is click, and it takes me directly to my file in Canva where I can make changes. Because I'm the only one with editing rights to my hub, if anyone besides me were to click on that icon, it would direct them to Canva, but it wouldn't open the editable version of my file. For Google Sheets, you have two different ways to approach sharing. The first option is to use the Share button. You could set the share permissions to anyone with a link can view, or you could set it to where only specific people had access to the file. The second option would be to publish it to the web. You can find this option under File, Share, Publish to Web, then simply click the green Publish button. Like Canva had a public view link, this is the link that you would need to share with others. What I like about this option is that it removes all of the Google Sheets toolbars from across the top, providing a little more of a streamlined, polished look. In fact, it kind of reminds me of a one-page website. And that's a wrap on creating your digital hub in Canva and Google Sheets. With these tools, you are all set to streamline your digital resources and share them effortlessly. I hope you found this guide valuable. If you did, please show your support with a like, subscribe to the Educate community for more EdTech tips and tutorials, and share this video to help spread the digital organization love. Got questions or are proud of your hub? Share your thoughts and creations in the comments below. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.